Hi, let's come to the top of the mat. Hands together, feet together. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest up toward your thumbs. Draw the belly in and up so that you feel your mid back move back. We're not in a back bend here, we're standing in neutral spine. On your exhale, release your arms by your sides. On your inhale, reach up, get as tall as you can. Exhale to fold forward, touch the floor if you can. Inhale halfway up. You might put your hands on shins. And we'll step back to plank for the exhale. We're going to stay here for a few breaths. Again, this is a neutral spine. So we're not letting the hips droop, not letting them lift up like we might in a downward dog. We're just a straight line from the feet to the head. The gaze is slightly forward. Remember that your neck is part of your spine. On your next exhale, bend the elbows, come all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes, push down into your hands, curl up, squeeze your elbows near your ribs, roll your shoulders back, maybe shake out the head so that you're relaxed in your neck. And let's meet in downward dog. So we'll lift our butt, we'll lift our knees. We'll use our arms to push our chest a little bit closer to our legs. Shake out your head if you're tense and the neck. And let's start to bend one knee at a time and start to walk your feet forward toward your hands. Try to keep your arms straight as you walk forward. And when you get there, inhale halfway up. This is where your hands might be on your shins. Exhale to fold. Rise all the way up to stand. Inhale. And arms by our sides. Exhale. So think of being heavy through your tailbone, light through your pubic bone, so that we're not standing like this. Instead, we have a lift in the front and a heaviness in the back. So maintain that as we reach the arms up. And just lower the arms down for your exhale. And it's really tempting when we reach the arms up to go into that arch shape. So try to maintain your strength. Arms by our sides, exhale. Just two more like that. So it's a lot of core. The more you use your legs and push down into the floor, the easier it is, because then you can get a little bit taller when you inhale, arms up. Let's take one more inhale to reach up. And we'll fold forward for the exhale like you did before. Hinge at the hip, drop the head. Inhale halfway up. And again, step to your plank. Same thing, or this time tap your right knee to your elbow and then step back to that plank. And then left knee and then step back. So it'll be an exhale to bring the knee in, an inhale to step back. And see if you can do this without wiggling anything. All that moves is that one leg that you're moving. Otherwise, the arms have equal weight. The hips are not shifting. They're not lifting or lowering. And the next time that your left foot touches down, exhale to come all the way to your belly. Take your time. Eventually, you'll get there. Let's reach the feet a little further back. I just do a little wiggle thing to make that happen. Push the tops of your feet into the floor and start to come up again like you did before, but with a little more thought about your feet. So we're pushing the toenails into the floor, the bony top of the foot into the floor. And again, maybe you have to shake your head a little bit because sometimes necks get a bit tense. And let's meet in a downward dog. So we'll change out the feet so that the soles of the feet can touch down. Maybe the heels touch down. That takes about a decade of downward dog practice. So don't worry if your heels are not on the floor. Now let's start to bend one knee at a time. Move the feet forward toward the hands. A series of steps until eventually you're at the top of your mat again. Inhale when you get there. And fold, exhale. Rise all the way up. Inhale. And arms by our sides. Exhale. We'll bend into the knees and reach the arms up from here. We'll stay here for a few breaths. This is a back bend. So the weight will come back into your heels. You'll send your hips back a little bit, and then you'll lift your chest up. If this hurts your back in any way, instead of reaching up and looking up, just be a little bit lower with your torso. Maybe look down at your feet. That will be less of a back bend. And let's straighten the legs and fold on your exhale. Halfway up for your inhale. And we'll step to plank again for the exhale. This time we'll stay in plank for the inhale. And we'll push to downward dog for the exhale. We'll return to plank again for the inhale. And we'll push to downward dog for the exhale. Just one more time like that. Arms are going to stay straight. Thumbs are going to keep pressing into the floor. And when you get to downward dog, just start to bend one knee at a time and start to walk your feet forward toward your hands. When you get there, inhale halfway and exhale to fold. We're going to bend the knees and return to that Utkatasana we had before. Sometimes it's called awkward pose, sometimes chair pose. So this is your back bend. Feet are together, knee presses into knee. And on your next exhale, straighten the legs, find your neutral spine. Bend the knees, inhale, there's your back bend, look up. Exhale, straight legs, arms by our sides. Inhale, palms flip up, we reach up, we look up. Exhale, palms flip down, we straighten the legs, we push down. One more time, just whatever range you have. Let's meet in that bendy Utkatasana again, so that we can fold on our exhale, straight legs, drop the head, inhale halfway up, and to plank for your exhale. Inhale and plank, and come all the way to your belly, exhale. So we're passing through chaturanga and coming down. Let's untuck the toes again. I wiggle the hips back again just to make more space in the hip flexor area. Click the toenails into the floor and start to rise up a bit. And we'll squeeze the elbows toward the ribs. Either stay here or interlace your fingers behind the back. Roll the shoulders open and start to reach your knuckles toward your feet. Keep pressing your feet into the floor. Keep pressing your pubic bone into the floor. And the gaze here is down the nose. So since this is a video, sometimes it's tempting to look at the screen, but there's really nothing to see. I'll try to use words as much as possible so that you never really have to look at the screen. So we'll keep our back bend. Let's just release our hands to the floor underneath the shoulders. Inhale to push yourself up a little bit higher, and let's meet in downward dog for the exhale. And when you get there, bend one knee at a time so that each heel can feel the floor. Let's lift the right leg up high for an inhale. Step it to the hands for an exhale. Lower the left knee down. Walk the hands up to the right thigh. This is Anjaneyasana. Sometimes it's called a low lunge. It gets confusing when we use English words though, because people call it all kinds of things and everyone has a different definition of what is a low lunge. Let's bring the arms to robot. Roll your shoulders forward and up and then back, like your elbows are going to poke into the wall behind you. Stay here for a breath. Bend your front knee a little deeper. And let's bring the hands to the floor. We'll step into plank for an inhale. And just chaturanga for the exhale. So elbows to 90 degrees. Inhale to your upward facing dog. Push into the top of your foot. And downward dog, exhale. Left foot steps forward so that we can bring our right knee down, untuck the toes, walk the hands up to that left thigh. So we're using this left heel to anchor us and to help us pull forward. If I push away, this is going to unbend. But right now I want to bend it a lot so that I get a bigger stretch in the right thigh. When you're ready, take your robot arms, roll your shoulders. Sometimes you might have to go one shoulder at a time, no problem. Elbows poke back, chest lifts up. The gaze might turn up. Let the head and the neck do something that feels natural based on what your spine is doing. Take another breath or two here. And then we'll take a vinyasa, which just means we put our hands down. We step back. Here's our straight spine, neutral spine. We exhale to bend the elbows with a neutral spine. Then a back bend on your inhale, that's up dog. And then a forward bend on your exhale, that's down dog. This is a resting pose, but you can always modify it in child's pose or on your forearms or with your heels up and your knees bent. Okay, let's step our right foot forward again. Keep your arms straight so that when you step forward, you have space. Left knee comes down, hands come up to that right thigh. Let's do that same rolling shoulder thing, but this time interlace your fingers like you did before and try to reach your knuckles down toward your back foot. So the thumbs are off your thigh if you can, and you're letting your shoulders roll back. You're bending the front leg as much as you can. No tension in the neck. One more breath. And let's release our grip. Vinyasa. We step back. Neutral spine, we bend the elbows. We inhale to our upward facing dog. And we exhale to downward dog. We rest for a moment. So those up dogs are, in a way, a transition, but they're also prepping you for back bends. So don't gloss over them. Really work on anchoring your thumb and pointer, anchoring your top of foot and toenails. Let's bring that left foot forward, right knee down, walk the hands up. And if what we're adding on is too much, just keep your hands here. Maybe lean forward so that you're not in a big back bend. When you can, roll the shoulders. Interlace the fingers, straighten the arms, bend the front knee. And we just keep bending the front knee. But we're anchoring also through the top of the right foot. That back foot is not moving around at all. Another breath or two here. And let's slowly release our grip. We're going to come into that plank again. You can always put your knees down in plank so you have a straight line from knees to head. Then bend your elbows, chaturanga. It's a little bit easier. And then you find your cobra or your up dog. And your exhale is downward dog, and you rest. The only difference really between cobra and up dog is, are your knees up or down? Cobra is a little bit easier because your knees are down and you won't be in quite such a big back bend. Up dog, your knees are lifted and you're pressing into the top of your foot. Let's bring our right foot forward again. Lower that left knee down. Walk the hands up. Untuck your left toes. When you can, interlace your fingers behind your back. And there's not going to be a bunch of wrist bending. It's just a strong finger position like you would in a headstand. Hands are going to come behind your head. Elbows will come in a little bit. And we start to push the head back into the hand. The elbows are pointing to the ceiling, and you can see them with the periphery of your vision. We'll take another breath or two here. Bend the front knee more if you can. We'll use an inhale to come out of the back bend, and hands come to the floor. Make your way to plank. When you're ready to exhale, it's a chaturanga with knees up or down. An inhale for knees up or down, cobra or up dog, and an exhale for down dog. Let's bring the left foot forward. Arms are straight so that you can step forward quite a lot. Untuck the right toes, walk the hands up. So if I try to step forward and my foot, say it only goes to here, and I stop there, there's no way to get a really great stretch here. The foot is too close to the knee. So you need quite a lot of space. There should be a stretch in your back thigh. Hands interlace. Head presses back. Elbows point up. Chest moves up. Shoulders move back. Hips move forward and down. So you're creating all your stretching. It is not being done to you. You are doing it. The muscles are working to keep you in it. And let's use an inhale to rise up. Hands will come to the floor. We'll step to our plank and vinyasa, which obviously you can always skip a vinyasa. Just meet in downward dog. That's where all the paths lead. Shake out your head. Okay, let's rock forward to plank and come all the way down to the belly. Sphinx. Come onto the elbows. Elbows will be maybe an inch in front of your shoulders. Fingers are spread and anchored into the floor. We're not letting the hands do anything crazy in front of us. They're just flat. Shoulders roll back. Pubic bone presses down. So just practice bringing your right heel in toward you and then extend the leg back. And then the left heel comes in and it extends back. Just alternate a few times. You're going to feel your hamstring work a lot to bring your heel in. Keep pressing the pubic bone down so that you're not over arching in your low back. The next time that your right foot is in, we're going to lift our right elbow, bring our left arm across so that our left hand replaces our right elbow, and we'll reach the right hand back for the foot. If you can, you'll take the inside edge of the foot. That might be a lot. You might have to be here. You might need a strap, all the things. But if you can, go for the big toe side so that your thumb is near your big toe. And just stay square to the top of your mat. Keep pushing down into your left arm. If I don't push down, this is what happens. Have a look at your screen for a sec. You sort of collapse. There's not a whole lot of productivity there. So push down, your chest will be higher. And then if you want, you'll bring your foot in. This is a very hard hand position to start understanding. But the pointer finger is going to go between big toe, second toe, so that your elbow can point up. And this only happens when your thigh is open enough so that you can do this with no pain in your knee. And let's slowly release that. We'll bring the hands down under the shoulders and inhale to your upward facing dog. Exhale to your downward facing dog and pedal out the feet because we want to make sure you don't get stuck in a back bend. Okay, now let's rock forward to plank. And we'll lower down to our bellies again. Sphinx. This time, we'll just bring our left foot in. We'll lift our left elbow up, replace it with the right hand, and reach the left hand back for the foot. Maybe staying, maybe pulling it in. I'm going to swivel so that the camera is still on the crazy foot. So there's no way to swivel the hand if the arm is straight. So when you can, the leg bends more, the foot comes close to you, and then you can swivel the hand. So you have to first just deal with flexibility of quads and don't worry about the rest. It winds up being a really nice shoulder stretch and chest stretch, but you really have to go slow with it. I probably learned this after, I don't know, 10 to 15 years of yoga. Okay, let's slowly get out of there and let's vinyasa. So we'll put the hands under the shoulders, a little inhale and exhale. 15 years was very conservative, more like 10. Okay, let's start to walk the feet forward toward the hands again. So that at some point your feet are at the top of your mat. Inhale when you get there and fold for an exhale. Let's bend the knees until the chest is resting on the thighs. Then start to roll yourself up so that eventually you can stand. And whenever you've gotten standing, reach up for an inhale. And let's bring the hands to prayer, the right knee in for the exhale. Foot down, arms up, inhale. And switch sides, left knee up, hands to prayer, exhale. One more time each side. This is just so that we remember we have core strength, because sometimes when we go to back bends, we get a little bit loosey-goosey, and we're thinking too much about flexibility. and not enough about how we're going to support that flexibility. Okay, so the next time that your left foot is down, we're just going to open up to face the long edge of the mat. So your right foot can step back. Your feet will now face the long edge, hands to hips. Inhale. And let's fold forward for the exhale. Let's put the hands on the floor. Inhale. And fold for your exhale so that you feel a stretch in your hamstrings. The head can be on the ground or not. But if you can, you're going to get your palms flat and you're going to push into your thumb and pointer. If your elbows are bending, you're going to make sure that your elbows are staying over your wrists. If your arms are straight, don't worry about that piece of it. But if they're bending, make sure your forearms are parallel to one another. This will come into play later. On the next inhale, let's lift the head, straighten the arms. Hands to hips for the exhale. And rise up for an inhale so that you can turn the right foot to face the back of your mat, triangle pose. Arms will come out. We reach out for an inhale and we lower the hand. Left arm comes up. So you might be wondering, why are we doing this if it's a backbend class and we're trying to be efficient with time and all those things? And the answer is because you can't just backbend. We didn't do enough sun salutes for that. That is the process. Next inhale, we'll rise up. Right foot comes in, left foot comes out. We reach out and down. So the back bends that we're going to do today come from Ashtanga second series. By the time you get to second series, you've already done a lot of prep over a decade, but also that day, you would have done about 15 minutes of sun salutes and then maybe another 10 minutes of standing poses to loosen everything up. It's all connected. Next inhale, let's rise up. We're going to pivot the feet again. Right foot will face the back of the mat. This time, bend the knee, so it's warrior two. So that right leg is about 90 degrees bent, the left leg is straight. Let's place that right elbow on the thigh gently and reach the left arm over the ear. So you have a straight line from your left hand to your left foot. Some of you might want to put your right hand on the floor. This gets into the hip a little bit more, but make sure you're reaching with your left arm so you stretch your waist. That's going to be really helpful in back bends. The next inhale, we're going to rise up. We'll straighten the right leg. Right foot turns in, left foot turns out. And we bend the left leg, so we're in warrior two on the other side. Elbow comes to thigh. Right arm comes out over the ear. The gaze is at that right palm. And it's almost like you're watching the arm reach away from you. It is running away. And that back foot is anchored. Maybe the left hand comes down. Think of moving the right ribs back. Okay, and we'll rise up on an inhale. Let's bring that left foot to face the same way as the right foot, the long edge, hands to hips, inhale. And let's fold forward. We're going to reach for our big toes with the first two fingers and thumbs. Once you have your grip, inhale. And head comes down toward the floor, exhale. It may or may not touch down, but you're going to keep your arms, or I lied to you, you're going to keep your legs straight. And you're going to roll your shoulders back so that you don't have all of your upper back flesh pressing down toward your ears. It's moving up toward your butt. Okay, next inhale, we'll straighten the arms. Just release your grip and let's walk the hands toward the top of the mat and just step back to your plank. We'll meet in a straight arm plank. We'll press into our fingertips. Let's start to make our way to a forearm downward dog. So we're going to let our butt lift up. We're going to keep pushing our chest back toward the thighs. We'll squeeze our elbows in. And eventually our elbows are going to land behind the wrists. Then we drop the head. We have a nice view of our feet and ankles. The head is not on the floor. Either stay here or practice a few times getting in and out of it. So we'll go from this forearm dog, also known as down dog B. We'll go from there to plank by straightening the arms, and with our feet, we're pushing. Then we're going to bend the elbows again and return to our down dog B by pushing now with our fingers. So you push forward to plank on an inhale, pushing with your feet, and then you push down dog B, you push with your fingers. So just notice how your feet and hands cooperate here. And let's meet in our down dog B so that we can put our knees on the floor and walk them back a little bit more. Anahatasana, either forehead to the floor, or chin to the floor, or chest to the floor. And you wind up with your butt over your knees, up toward the ceiling. And we'll just take a few more breaths here. Try to draw your belly in so that it's not just a loosey-goosey pose, so that you still have your abdominal strength participating. And let's start to rock ourselves forward. There's no great way out of that. And we'll meet in our Sphinx again, that place that we were before. If your Sphinx has your elbows too far back, it's going to be a little bit like this, shoulders forward, and it's really awkward to try to get up. So err on the side of elbows more in front of you. It's just more comfortable. So either stay here, just practice being here, or bend both knees, reach your hands back for the outside of your ankles, and kick. Then your chest will be lifting the same way as it was in Sphinx, but it will be lifting because now your legs are strong and they're kicking into your hands. If this is going well, point your toes, touch your big toes together, and start to lift your thighs as well. Maybe even touch your inner heel. 2 more breaths. Kick as much as you can. And let's slowly come out of it. Hands under the shoulders. Inhale for your upward dog. So I start with my toes curled and then I propel myself forward. Exhale for downward dog. So the feet and ankles have such a role to play. Okay. Let's come on to the knees for a moment. And we'll just stand on them with the toes tucked underneath us. I'm going to turn sideways so that you can see the toe situation. If it's killing you in your arch, sorry, maybe for now do this, but over time, start to work on this more because we need your feet healthy. Hands to hips, squeeze the elbows toward one another. With your hands, push your hips forward. Inhale, chest up, and start to arc back any amount. So we're going to keep pushing our hips forward the whole time, almost like there's a wall right in front of you and your thighs are just glued to that wall. You can drop the head back. And on your next inhale, let's rise up. And we're going to have a seat on the feet or on the heels with the toes still tucked under. Unless that's killing you, then don't do that. We won't be here forever, don't worry. Okay, so potentially with no hands, you're just going to lift your knees and then you'll be squatting. The heels will come to the floor, or maybe not quite, but your back will now be slightly rounded. It's a forward bend, but it's gentle. So we'll just take a moment here. And we're going to vinyasa out of it, but we'll do it in a way that requires you to have some core strength. So we'll bring our knees to our upper arms or armpits. I'm going to turn to face the front of my mat again. We'll put our hands down where they would naturally land. So they're not here next to the feet. They're in front of you a bit. Just let them be naturally in front of you. Lift your heels, lift your butt, and then use your toes to start to shift your weight forward so that you can lift your feet off the ground into your Bakasana arm balance. And we'll jump it back from there to Chaturanga. Finish up the vinyasa with an inhale up dog and an exhale down dog. So we just stuck that in because your core has to be turned on for that arm balance to work. Your abdominals have to be strong. Okay, let's come on to the knees again. We'll stand on the knees again. I'm just going to face side for the same reason. As before, hands will stay on the hips or adding on, if it went well, having hands on hips and there was no pain at all, reach for your heels. Head can drop back. So it's still that same concept as your imaginary wall is in front of you. The hips are pushing forward. On the next inhale, we'll come up out of there and we'll sit again, butt toward heels. And turn it into your squat. Shift your weight. Draw the belly in so you're actively rounding your back. Your tailbone dropping toward the floor. And of course, if the arm balance wasn't for you, just step back and do a normal vinyasa or go straight to downward dog. If you're unsure how to do it, have another look-see up here. Knees come toward armpits or upper outer arms, and they're going to squeeze in. Otherwise, you'll end up sliding off your arms. Then the heels come up, the butt comes up, the elbows have to go forward. The elbows have to be either over the wrists or in front of the wrists. And we jump it back so that we can vinyasa. And we meet in downward dog. The jumping back just has to be a very decisive moment, but you know what chaturanga looks like, so gravity and your powerful decision will get you there. Okay, let's come on to the knees again. This time we're going to untuck the toes. The heels are going to be farther away. So if it was challenging to hold the heels, curl the toes again. Hands to hips, inhale, chest up. And maybe reach back, grab the heels. The gaze is at the nose, which basically means you're looking up at the ceiling. You're not looking at the wall behind you. We call it tip of nose. But don't make yourself cross. Okay, let's rise up for an inhale. And we'll sit again with the toes curled under so that you're stretching through the arches of the feet. And already we can start to close that lowest rib in so that we can take it to our squat. Tailbone toward the floor. And then into your vinyasa of choice. This is just a really fun arm balance. And it's a fun way to get used to the idea of shifting your weight out of your feet. Because sky's the limit with all that stuff. I just want to introduce you to it. So when you get to down dog, just bend out one knee at a time. Get a little shifty. And let's take a big step forward and squat at the top of the mat. So you've already squatted, but you were in a different transition place. So let's just bring our butts to the ground and your feet out in front of you a bit. Inhale to pull yourself up, straighter back, and exhale to round. Just a few times like that, just so that you can feel how the shoulders change. And also you have different body parts on the ground. When your chest is lifted, you're on your sitting bones. And when you're rounded, you're a little bit more on your tailbone. So now see if you can do that without your arms pushing, pulling. So just reach forward into the abyss and let your strength do this. You're going to feel that when you round your back, you have to dig your balls of feet into the floor. And when you arch your back, you have to pull with your hamstrings. It's a really interesting leg position to help you stay upright here. One more. Now we're going to bring our hands behind us, fingers face forward. Reverse table. So we lift our butt. You can drop your head back. And we're just going to try to get our butt as high as our knees. And we'll just take one more breath here. And we'll lower our butt to the floor. Undo your bent knee position. I'm still facing sideways just for the camera, but stay as you are. So either repeat that or straight legs, point your toes. I'm going to change it this way because otherwise my toes are off the screen. Point the toes, roll your thighs in toward one another. Hands come down the same way as they just did. And now you're going to lift your hips. Drop your head. So it's the same idea as before, except that your legs are straight. And then let's come on down to our butts and bring the soles of the feet together. Baddha Konasana. We'll lift the chest for an inhale and we'll just fold a little bit for the exhale. No rush to get down there. This is a forward bend that we do in primary series after we've already been forward bending for like 20 minutes. So don't try to get to the depth that you might normally, because we're in a different mode right now. Okay, and let's use an inhale to rise up. We're going to bring the soles of the feet to the floor, open the knees up so that your torso can come through and you can squat. Hands will come down, Bakasana, knees to the arms, shift your weight, jump it back, Vinyasa. There will be a time that will be easy for you. If you want, if you have no interest in that, then you're not going to want to practice it and it won't be easy for you, and that's okay. All right, let's come on to our shins. We'll stand on our knees again. This time we're going to keep our arms glued to our sides, and instead of doing a big back bend, we're going to stay straight from knees to top of head. We're just going to lean back and then rise up. And just do this a few times. So you'll notice when you lean back, your quads get crazy strong, and then you rise up and it's easy. The leaning back, you decide how far you go because you do have to get up again. And notice how your feet catch you. That's very important. We'll just take one more. If it's too hard like that, I should have said this sooner. Bring your arms in front of you. That makes it easier. Okay, let's meet in downward dog. You can vinyasa if you want to, or you can just step back, make life easy on yourself, bend out your knees one at a time. And let's come on to the shins again. This time we'll move our feet out to the side and have a seat between our feet. A lot of people sit on blocks here. We're not going to stay here for too long, but this is what it looks like from the back. The feet are facing straight back. They're not facing the side. And the arch of the foot is just cradling the hip. This is Miss Anza, who has decided to join us. Can you lay down so that you're not in the camera way? Thank you, my girl. Yeah, get out of the way. She doesn't understand. Okay, so to get out of here, we're just going to put our hands by our knees, lean forward, press down into your hands, roll over your toes, and step to downward dog. Shake out your head, bend down one knee at a time, make sure your knees are okay. And we're going to build on that. So let's return to our shins. Have a seat again between your feet. There should be no knee pain. If there is, sit up on as many things as you need to make it better. This is Miss Sadie Rose. She's also checking in on us. Can you move out of the way now, Miss Sadie? Okay. So this time we're going to put our hands behind us like we did before. Hang on. Girlies, come on. You're in the way. You're in the way. Nobody can see anything. If only they understood, they could go behind me and they could do whatever they want back there. So the hands will be behind your body, about 12 inches. Say it. Thank you. Stay. Get back. Get back. Okay. And then we're going to lift our hips up. And this is similar feeling to your reverse tabletop. So you drop the head back. The gaze is at the nose, which again means the ceiling. And the arms are straight. Hips are as high as you can get them. And let's slowly lower our hips down. Place your hands by your knees. Lean forward so your shoulders are forward. And then you can straighten your arms. Roll over your toes. Downward dog. Bend out your knees one at a time. Okay, and let's come on to our shins one more time. We're going to add on, but if you were having trouble with any of the things we've done so far, do not add on. I used to have to do this one leg at a time. You can do it that way. Or if there's still pain, just be in these kind of poses, Anjaneyasanas, one leg and then the other, so that you can still be in a stretch for this part of your leg without any pain. When you're ready, we're going to start to lay back. So the hands are going to move back to catch us. We might decide we come to the elbows. I have to reset my knees sometimes. We want the thighs parallel to one another. And then we can come down to our shoulders, maybe. Your hands could be in a lot of different places here. My favorite place is to reach them overhead, either with the arms straight or holding opposite elbows. And we're working the feet. So the toenails are pushing down into the floor. And let's start to come up nice and slow. So it took us a bit to get there. It's going to take us a bit to get up. Place your hands by your knees, draw your belly in. Pretend you're about to go into handstand. That's how straight your arms are, and you're pushing the floor away from you. Downward dog. And let's just bend one knee at a time. Okay. Now let's come down to our butts. I'm going to face away from you this time. We're going to lower all the way to our backs. And we're going to put our soles and feet on the floor. So the heels are close to your butt. You should be able to touch your heels with your fingertips. The feet are not crazy far away from you. They're quite close. Now let's just start lifting our hips up off the ground. There should be no ponytail or bun in the way of your head or neck. So move that out of the way if you have to. And once your hips get up pretty high, let's roll to our right shoulder and get that left arm wedged under the body. And roll onto your left shoulder and roll your right arm under the body. Interlace your fingers and press the edge of your hand into the floor. That pinky finger edge of your hand as best you can. Press into your feet, get your hips to go up a little bit higher. And then let's slowly come on down. Undo the shoulders perhaps. And eventually you're down on the ground. So we're not going to rest too long down there. Either repeat that same thing or place your hands on the floor by your shoulders. I have tight shoulders, so I let my pinky fingers get off the mat. They're literally like dangling off the edge. And before you do anything, make sure your elbows point to the ceiling, because it's real common for them to point out to the side. That's not helpful. Come up to the top of your head. Then readdress your elbows. Did they do anything crazy? Get them to squeeze in. And then start straightening your arms. We call this Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow pose. You did bow pose earlier when you were grabbing your ankles. Your belly was on the floor and you were kicking yourself into a back bend. So you did that and now you do this. Different, but same. And let's slowly come on down. We'll tuck the chin as we lower. So if you're struggling with that, just keep doing that. Otherwise, we're going to add on. We're just going to add on a little bit. Don't worry. So this piece starts the same. And then once you get up there, you're just going to practice pressing to straighter legs and then letting it bend. And then straighter and letting it bend. And just do that about 5 times. It's almost like you have a moment of power and then a moment of eh. Moment of power, moment of eh. Because sometimes it's hard to maintain the strength the whole time. And then let's come on down. We're going to do one more. And some of you will not do this, but just know that it exists and maybe try it. So you come onto the top of your head like you're going to come into Urdhva Dhanurasana. I like to then come onto the balls of the feet just so that I have a little bit more wiggle room like this. Then I'm going to move my hands back so that the elbows come down. Then I'll try to lift my head, and then I'll try to put the heels down again. So just give it a try. It's really like one thing at a time. It starts by putting your head on the floor, then it's walking the hands. Maybe you walk one, maybe both. Your head might be stuck for the first year that you try this. The way out of it will be having your palms return to straight arms, Urdhva Dhanurasana, and then lower down to your back. Let's just take a moment on the back. Notice you might be breathing heavily. Back bends are very invigorating. And let's roll over to either side. We're just going to meet again in a tabletop. Straight arms, straight spine. So neutral back. And bring your knees together. So it's like you only have one anchor point in the back. We're going to slide the right leg out along the ground and then lift it up. And lower it down again. And lift it up without lifting the hip. And lower it down. One more time to lift it up. Here's our inhale. And the exhale, just tap your right knee to your elbow. And then extend it out again. So when we tap in knee to elbow, we're in a bit of a rounded back. Then we just find neutral again. One more time. And we'll lower that right knee to meet the left so that we can just do the other side. If you have any issues with your wrists, just come down here. It won't be all that different. We'll extend the left leg back. Before you lift the leg, notice that you have no problem keeping a neutral back. So you're fine here. The tendency is when the leg goes up, people do this kind of thing. So try to keep that belly drawing in the same as when the toes were on the ground. So leg will come up and then it will come down. Just 3 times like that. Just practicing how are you going to stay stable. And the next time that the leg is up, we're just going to bring it in and then back again. And this is just to reconnect you to your core after back bends. Because back bends are not all about flexibility. If they were, we would all be injured. Let's lower that knee down again. And we'll just press ourselves to a child's pose. So we literally use our hands to push our butt toward our feet. You can then tent your fingers so you're on your fingertips, but your wrists and elbows are off the ground. And let's return our forearms to the ground, down dog B. We're going to end with a Pincha Mayurasana, which some of you are going to need a wall for this. You're going to step one foot in. Your other leg is going to go up as high as it can go. And when it can go no higher, the bottom leg is going to give it a little extra boost. And you can stay with your legs apart, or you can start to bring them in toward one another. The gaze is more or less between the wrists. And we'll slowly come on down. And we'll meet again in that child's pose with the hands tented if you can. And let's release the arms so that we can roll ourselves up to sitting. Get off the feet so your butt is on the ground. And let's go for Baddha Konasana again. But this time, since we're done with back bending, maybe we can go a little further because we don't need to keep our minds in this prep for back bend scenario. So we'll open up our feet like a book. We'll inhale and we'll fold for the exhale. So there's a lot of poses that we'll do every day, but we might do different variations on them based on what is the goal of our practice for that day. On the next inhale, start to rise up. Now let's bring the legs out to a V shape so that we can fold forward with our torso between the thighs. You might come down not very much. You might come to your elbows. You might go further. You might have your head on the ground. Wherever you wind up, try to flex your feet, press your calf muscles into the floor. Kneecaps are going to face to the ceiling, and you're just very stable in your legs. And let's start to walk our hands in again. We're gonna wiggle our legs in toward each other. I would wiggle except Sadie's head was there. And we'll fold forward. Grab onto the feet if you can. Keep the legs strong. And let's use the next inhale to lift the head. Exhale to release the pose. And here's where you would just lay back in Shavasana. Because you're at home alone, I'm going to turn the recording off and you can just do it for as long as you want. But Shavasana is just where the legs flop out. The arms are out to the sides, maybe 45 degrees-ish, 30 degrees maybe. Palms face up. And you're just very comfortable. So I would recommend you turn off your video, you silence your phone, and you stay there for 5 to 20 minutes. Namaste.